right, Putin could go to the nuclear war with NATO over Sweden, predicts Russian colonel. Vladimir Putin could launch a nuclear war against the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, aka NATO, warns a retired Russian mushroom official. Tensions have risen as Russia's threats of a potential nuclear conflict with the West have increased during their invasion of UKR. Several Kremlin officials have said. It said that though experts are divided on how serious these threats really are. Earlier this year, Russian President Putin temporarily suspended his country's participation in the joint New START treaty with the U.S., and in March they announced that Moscow would build tactical nuclear weapons storage facilities in Belarus. All of that, all of the jazz about them moving tactical nukes there, all of the talk, the speculation, the rhetoric that some sort of tactical nuke may be used, and that, of course, they're all beating their chests at this point. They're saber rattling, but at one point, does it become real and not just saber rattling? Again, we've seen a lot of odd events going on. I personally think that we would have some sort of cyber event or a possibly a nuclear EMP weapon before we would actually see a nuclear weapon being used in the traditional way, like wiping people out like Japan. But as far as the talk around it, they keep saying that something is going to pop off. It's all that the news has been saying for now 2 years straight. It says, according to Newsweek, Anton Goroshenko, an advisor to the Ukrainian Minister of Internal Affairs and a prolific social media commentator, shared a clip of retired Russian Colonel Mikhail Kardahonok appearing on a state-run news program discussing tensions with nations on the Baltic Sea. He warned that Sweden, which is in the process of joining NATO, against antagonistic behavior towards Russia, adding that tensions in the region could lead to an inevitable nuclear conflict with other NATO members in the region. The gentleman, a Russian military expert, warned of potential conflict with NATO, saying that nonetheless, this would in fact lead to a conflict between the Russian Federation and NATO. And this conflict can only be nuclear. So again, I don't know what thing he's or what reason he believes it can only be nuclear, but it says this is why the inhabitants of Stockholm and Tallinn can be asked, do you need it? So as far as nuclear rhetoric, it is, I would like to say that it's never been worse, but it's always bad. At least the last 3 years that we have been talking about it, or no, actually since 2017, since the whole thing that was going down with North Korea and Kim Jong-un and President Trump going back and forth with their Rocket Man rhetoric. So lots of crazy things going on, and we have a lot of really weird events going on here in the U.S., worldwide protests. We have U.S. soldiers that have apparently perished, and there's a mystery beyond that. We're going to talk about everything that has happened in the last 48 hours in just a few minutes. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
So clear, it's going nuclear. It's so clear, it's going nuclear. It's so clear, it's going nuclear, 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 nuclear.
All right, what What is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have got a bunch to cover and a short amount of time. And thank you, everybody, for your patience when we switch over from the other show. Do realize we are on multiple platforms, so when we switch live from one channel to the next, that we have to not only set up YouTube, we have to set up all of the other platforms, make sure that they are all running correctly, make sure that all of the chats are set up, all of the titles are good in all of the right places, upload thumbnails to everywhere, and make sure that our audio systems are good before every single show. Not to mention, make sure that we have a web page available for you by the time of the start of the show with a full bibliography of all of our sources, which can be found over at marfooglenews.com. Over here, all you have to do is look for today's thumbnail. It's going nuclear, chaos erupts worldwide, doomsday or surprise. And of course, that's referencing to surprise attack, the Great Wall of Deception. Click that. You will find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document there. Not only that, you're going to see a lot more. You're going to see tweets, videos, and all sorts of other content down there, and overflow. All of the crazy stuff that we couldn't fit into the show will go down there. We'll cover that at the very end. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
By the way, and if there is any sound issues, my 3-year-old son, I have a soundboard with all of the mixers and faders. I thought it was a ghost, but apparently it was him. All of the faders were pushed up. Every knob, like 50 knobs, were all twisted around. So all of my sound had to be redone. Everything was the left to right faders were all done which way. Everything. I mean, like literally 40 knobs, and he did every last one of them. So I got really confused. I was like, what the heck is this? And it took forever. I could not believe how long it took for me to fix the sound. So if anything is messed up, or you only hear Dex out of one ear or something, that will explain it. But so Dex, first of all, we've heard a lot of speculation about nuclear, and people are afraid. It's a taboo thing that a lot of normal people will go, oh, fear. At what point, in the prepper community, we do talk about this. It's a real thing, or at least, again, there's people that say, oh, nukes aren't real. If that's what you believe, that's okay. Again, you can believe what you want to believe. But as far as nuclear weapons and things, if, say, hypothetically, they're real and they can wipe out a whole state, then yeah, it's a scary thing. And this generation hasn't seen it. Now, back World War II, if everything is as they do, they've lied to us every day since MSM, since news was around, since there was headlines, they've lied to us. So who knows what really happened? But again, with Japan and the people that perished that day, it was a horrible event. I bet you back then nobody thought that was possible. As far as another one, people think that it's just not going to happen. We're going to talk about today. There's actually going to be talk with Xi Jinping and JB about not adding AI into nuclear weapons. We're talking about Skynet, Terminator type stuff. This is what's happening right now. We're talking about brain implant chips, neurostrike technology, being able to control your mind, biospecific stuff that could literally affect certain cultures of people, and AI in nuclear weapons, straight out of Terminator. And if that's not enough, we literally have events going on almost out of the Colonel's description at the campfire in Red Dawn movie, the original. We have almost the exact scenario playing out that they said back in what was that, a 70s movie? It's getting absolutely nuts. Dex, do you want to comment about the Biden and Xi signing a deal to keep AI out of control systems?
Yeah, sure. So that's, real quick though, on the prior article, I was going to say, not only did that colonel say just using nukes, he went on, he rambled on that interview saying that they would actually roll the tidal wave onto Sweden, onto Stockholm, and said they would fill the Baltic Sea with mines. So bad that it would take 10 years to get them out. So, but as far as the this notion about what's going on with Biden and Xi, so we've been talking quite a bit about this upcoming meeting. We talked a little bit about it on last show over on our other channel, specifically about who's going and why they're going there. But the interesting thing is they're speculating now that Xi is going to come out and sign an agreement at this with JB and say the deal is to limit the use of artificial intelligence in our nuclear weapon control system. So think about that. What they're saying is they're going to agree not to allow AI to have any part of touching the systems that can actually launch nukes. Now, the thing that bothers me most is, and this is probably a very deceptive thing, is I gotta believe, maybe even on both sides, but certainly on the other side, that they may say one thing but really do the other. And I guess that's the part that worries us because when we see some of the stuff that China is willing to do on a tech side, whether it's bioengineering, whether it's advanced technology that sort of goes around the ethics rules and laws that we try to follow here, they certainly don't care about those rules and laws. It appears that way. So it won't surprise me if he's going to say one thing, even sign some paperwork, but behind closed doors, they're probably going to do something totally different. Because ultimately, what's going to happen is they're going to figure out that AI can be smarter about letting them know when their enemy is going to attack. And of course, they want to know that. So that's what's going to be the game changer for him. And I'm afraid that it'll probably happen on both sides, but I'm almost certain it's going to be on G's side. He'll say he'll do it, but he's not really going to.
That's so scary to think about that. I mean, that's Skynet, which, by the way, there's already an argument that Skynet, which, well, by the way, Skynet is a real thing that deals with the Internet of Things, and people were freaked out. They were like, why did they name it Skynet? But as far as Skynet, that could be a real thing. In the next 10 years, or even sooner than that, in the next 3 years, you could see a system that would control all of our nukes. Heck, you could see a system that would predict if somebody was going to do a first strike. I mean, think about it. If you got it to a certain point where it could predict other things, like give a great example. Japan has come up with an AI-related system that actually looks at shoplifting. It sounds like it shouldn't be related, but so say a person comes in, this system with a 97% accuracy or 98% accuracy, something insane, can predict when somebody's going to shoplift by if they look over their shoulder, if they're perspiring, if they are jittery, if they are they look around a lot, these kind of things, if how they walk, their gait, and it will be able to tell if they're going to steal. And they waited until after they stole to get the data. So obviously these people stole, and 90-something%, they were able to detect somebody stealing before it happened. Minority Report type stuff. If you haven't seen that movie, go back to 2001, watch that damn movie, because it is a crazy thought, and now it is coming true. So with nuclear, I could see them using it to predict a first strike. Like put everything in. It puts all of the information around all of the geopolitics from the entire world, packs it into some sort of quantum computer, and uses AI to basically figure out if somebody is going to strike. Heck, they could have alarms going off in their situation room saying, "Oh, China's going to attack us," 10 minutes before they even think about it. Right? This is the kind of stuff people are predicting and saying it's going to happen. And as far as Skynet and this Terminator situation, God, we're doing that too. I mean, you got Elon Musk making humanoid robots. What is the next 10 years going to look like? Well, hopefully it doesn't look like this, but guess what? They have no bureaucracy, like Dex said. They're not going to stop. Oh, yeah, sure. We'll stop if you stop. Do they believe us? Do they trust us? Do we trust them? And why in the heck would he sign anything and actually hold up his end of the deal? Why would the U.S. hold their end of the deal when we know China steals our crap? I guess we shouldn't do it because guess what? If we do it, then our data is going to be stolen and they'll have the data anyways. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and let's remember they're new. And when I say they're new, the Xi's development in the nuclear program is new. Their platforms are going to be newer. Our platforms are older. They're a lot of analog stuff, like literally turning keys and reading off codes, right? I'm sure we've updated a lot of things, so I'm not trying to say we're totally back in the 60s, but because they're new, they're going to be on a network. They are going to be much more closer to being on a real network like you think of today on the internet. Not that their nukes are going to be online on the internet, but they're going to be on a network. And when you have AI in your platforms that have capabilities of doing things, They may not have direct access, but they can learn to capture that access and direct that access across a network. And that's the scary part. So they may actually say, "Hey, yeah, we're not going to put AI over here. We're going to use it in this other system in our military industrial complex, so to speak." But in turn, it's smart enough to learn its way how to infiltrate into that other network. And that's what's going to be scary.
Some JPass said wind up nukes, and I just keep winding it up, and it goes across the table. That's cute. And I feel like that might be referencing, like, oh, they're going to be crappy knockoff nukes or whatever. That, like Dex said, these are new. If they use today's technology, when, say, different treaties and things had us not upgrading things, we had, of course, outdated gear. They said this. Our own Pentagon came out and said that a certain percentage of our nuclear arsenal was absolutely ancient. So, yeah, I could launch and hit something, but with new technology, heck, it could be taken out of the sky in 2 minutes. So if you make anything new today, using even today's knowledge, they say all of world knowledge doubles every year at this point or something like that. Either way, it's going to be better than something that's made last year. Heck, the computer technology from last year compared to this year, it's a huge, there's gaps every year. But as far as this whole doing this is something people, it's a taboo. People don't want to admit that China can make extremely quality weapons. They don't make knockoff everything. The reason they've made knockoff items and the reason why you attach cheap and will break right away and Harbor Freight tool style quality is because they're doing it on purpose to maximize their dollars. They've got cheap labor. And if they do it cheap and they cut corners and they have no laws and they can get around these things, they can make the maximum money for the lowest price. That's just a greed thing. And that's technically, if you wanted to be devil's advocate, it's smart and disgusting and nasty. It's a genius thing that they did with their country. Since they had those labor rates, they got all this. Well, they also upgraded their entire country as far as manufacturing goes. Over the years, every company that said, hey, you do it for cheaper, you got cheap labor, how many companies do we know that outsourced to China? And these are good companies. You don't even know that your stuff is made there. You're going to this fancy place and I would say bougie, but I just learned what bourgeois meant. And now I feel like I've been stupid this whole time. I think bourgeois is like middle class. But no, fancy, super fancy freaking companies have been sending their high-tech stuff to China to be made. What they also sent, they said, hey, here's the equipment that you can produce this stuff. Here's the knowledge you need to produce our stuff. And we want it done a certain way. But we want it done with the best of the stuff, but we want it with the cheapest of labor. That's what they did. So they gave them the ability. They gave them the information. They gave them the equipment to actually produce some of the highest tech stuff ever. And we know that our own weapons and our own stuff, that a lot of our stuff, too much stuff, has gone through some sort of loop that involved China in it. Why? I don't know. We know that they've been caught sending stuff to China, and people have been fired over this because they were like, oh, well, we could get it done over here. That's really dumb. Heck, we've had problems with our own F-35s and things because there were errors and possible questions if the ejection seat would work or this would work or that would work because parts were coming from China. We shouldn't have a single freaking screw in any of our F-35s coming from China. I don't care if it's manufactured, if it's a little tab that plugs a hole. Doesn't matter. We shouldn't have a piece of that. That's my belief. What is yours? Let me know in the comments down below. But they don't have the tape to cut. Somebody also said Terminator was a prequel to The Matrix. Fact. I don't know if that actually totally makes sense. And I heard that a couple years ago and went, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But yeah, who knows? Maybe we're already in that. Maybe we're in The Matrix and this has already all happened. Maybe when we're saying history repeats itself, it's because we're already, now we're living through the simulation of what happened. But I doubt it. And then Hezbollah increases on Israel. So the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah increases attacks on November 13th, launching anti-tank missiles and firing mortars. The Hez, as we'll call it, has been escalating its threats to which we will call it, for several days. On November 12th, several IS soldiers were injured after mortar shells struck their location near Manera in northern IS, and the soldiers were evacuated to a hospital to receive medical treatment, the IDF said. An anti-tank missile fired from Lebanon, the community of Dovev, killed 1 and injured 4 civilians. And the expert analysis says, quote, Hezbollah is increasing the threats to Israel and the United States, and the Iran-backed proxies in Syria and Iraq also increase their attacks. Iran is not deterred and encouraging Hez and other T groups to escalate towards a regional war. Daily attacks by Hez are now causing more injuries and risk dragging Lebanon into a wider war. We have heard this every gosh dang day, that this risks dragging us into a wider regional war. In my opinion, and I might be wrong, I believe that this wider conflict is coming. There's no way around it in my mind, and that this is all part of the plan. But again, let me know what you think. By the way, thank you, Renee Alera. Thank you for not only breaking down the gates. Thank you again for your support, and thank you for sticking around for years. I know our time schedule is a lot different, and a lot of folks in the East Coast are up really late right now to watch it, or up really early to watch it. But thank you guys for joining us. As you guys know, I also do side work. I do construction jobs. I do photography jobs. So again, I apologize for the later schedule lately. It's everybody I know has been going through just hell with the inflation, with everything that's going on. It's absolutely nuts. So thank you guys for your patience. Again, we are independent. We don't have some sort of home base with a bunch of people running around like, breaking news, we've got this and this and that, and we'll write it up for you and put it on the teleprompter. It's me and Dex, and then our volunteer mods, which are absolutely amazing. Let's do a quick roll call. Where are you from? Just a general state. You'll find other Foogle family members from that same state. You instantly have something in common. Drop it in the chat right now. We'll call out some of the states. Where do you rep? I saw Ohio's in here. I saw some Stantons in there. I saw California. Let's see here. Marf, it's all in Western. Hey, North Dakota, Navik Vaughn. Life is better on stilts. It is so lovely to hear from you. Again, from Florida. I hope you're doing good. And you got to call in and give us an update here in a little bit. I know you were getting off that stuff, and man, the doctors were screwing around with your stuff. Thank God you're still here. Indiana, C-Stam, Overland Gear Guy, Utah. Hey, nice to see you, Gear Guy. Sign Digger, we've got Alex Leslie from Illinois, just outside of St. Louis. Western New York State. Hey, Tracy Q, nice to see some New York representation. Danish Girl, hey, nice to see you. Virginia, we've got Becky Benton from Duncan, Oklahoma. Miss Elanius, I love that, from Seattle. Hey, nice to see a local. We've got lots of Washington people here, just so you know. You'll probably see a bunch of them. And then Joe that you know, of course, we've got Aaliyah from Cali. Thank you. John Hurd, right on. What's going on? And then Vancouver Island. And Susan Wilson from Washington. Western Montana, Dan. We've got Michael Hobart, Richie's Restorations, upstate New York. Nice to see you. Let's see her. Keith Simmons. Nice to see you guys. Dad Stash, Robert, and everybody else. Thank you guys. Darren Schrader from Bethalto, Illinois. So, Bremerton, nice to see you, John. Lots of FEMA 7. Everybody used to do their FEMA region, but now they don't. I don't know why. All right, and then Mossad commentary. Dex, do you want to explain this photo? Again, Golani soldiers in the Hamas parliament in Gaza.
Yeah, sure. So what's happening here is they have actually claimed the parliament building, and when they did, they went in and took these pictures and posted them. So this is the IDF. They're calling it a historical photo. It's obviously part of the conflict that's going on, and they have, taken over their parliament building in that major capital city inside the strip there, and now they're posing with their pictures and flags.
So as far as with U.S. troops under attack, Iraq fears war in Gaza could spread to Baghdad. Didn't see that one coming. Not. Pulled a 1993 on you with the knot. Before we move on, before we cover this, I just want to remind you guys, we are independent. You guys want to support us and get yourself one of the best solar generators out there. Again, it is modular. It is expandable. It is the same generator company that is actually going to be outfitting the Army with the Flex Tactical under the SBIR Phase 2 contract. This works like Legos as far as its expandability and its modulability. It can be changed to a UPS system. It is one of the best systems out there as far as its build quality. Again, they're built like tanks already, and now they have the Flex Tactical, which has a reinforced steel frame. This thing is even crazier. This is going to be on the back of Humvees at some point. Or again, this is the new one with heaters in the batteries, 1,500-pound latches, reinforced steel frame, water and dust resistance. This thing has it all. Most people, though, I believe that you don't need all of that. I would say go for this and then protect it with an EMP shield, and you will be good. You get power from the sun, plug it into a solar panel. It's very easy. A lot of people are intimidated by this. Plug it into a solar panel. If it's more than one solar panel, you daisy chain them like Christmas lights. And you can do up to 4 right off the bat. If you get the supercharger, you can do 12, which is really cool. You can basically change the overall input. You can change how it provides it. You can even turn it into a UPS, uninterrupted power supply with the UPS mod. That basically means you can plug your fridge into this end of the wall. When the power goes out, it will immediately switch over. So very cool. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. And again, that is great help to us. It gives us a commission, and it helps you out as well because it gives you a discount. We are truly independent. We don't have a multi-channel network to protect us. And we are, again, on our own in this field. So thank you. marfooglenews.com/energy. And then Dex, do you want to go over the U.S. troops, which we've talked about? Especially make sure to go check over Marfoogle News at our short over there because really important stuff over there as well.
Well, yeah. So with Iraq, they're fearing, I guess, that when we reported last week that one of the military groups there, not officially from the country, but one of the ones that's there, was talking about taking arms up and going after is directly. So as this continues to ramp up, I think they're really upset with if they take a position either side or get involved in any way that it's going to bring the battle into Baghdad because they've been hit twice before, obviously. They've been through this a lot. We've spent a lot of time and money to help get them reestablished since we so righteously took out their previous leader. As we all remember how that went down. But yeah, they're sort of like going, at least this is the message they're putting out from the prime minister there is they're sort of trying to avoid any conflict. They don't want to have any part of it because they don't want anything because they do have U.S. military presence in their country because they do have, a recent history of having conflict in their country and they don't want to see it brought to them. And it will be. They're sitting right next door to Iran. So if anything's going to happen and they sort of start picking the wrong side, I'm sure they're going to get nailed quickly.
It's the same loop again. It's like we just literally, well, everybody here knows the stat because I've said it a million times, but 93% out of the whole time we've been a country, we've been in war. 7% of that time we have been outside of a war. So if people really think we're not going to war again, I don't get that. We're always in some sort of conflict. It was crazy during T-Man's 4 years. We actually were in a lack of a conflict. And in 2016, everybody said, "Oh, if he gets elected," which, by the way, the chatter on the internet said if Hillary was elected, then that it would be war. And everybody on their side said if T-Man was elected, there would be war. And of course, there was a lack of not very much. Now, when basically the same kind of party, the same group took over in 2020, which by very weird instances, it just starts. Everything has popped off, and people still don't think that there's some sort of overall guided kind of direction to this. I don't get it. And then we have Ukraine plans to use winter to cut off Russia's military supply chains and freeze them out of the country. this doesn't, and I'm not trying to carry Putin's water here. A lot of their plans and everything else, mind you, over the last 3 months, things have been said that if you said last year, you would be considered the R word, you'd be considered the B word, you'd be considered a lot of things if you even questioned all this. People were saying the weirdest stuff if you said that UKR was losing. The media has told us that they are winning because obviously nobody wants to support with their tax dollars a losing conflict. Nobody also wants to be sending off our own defenses to somewhere else, and technically it's not exactly a democracy over there, and it's not even close to one. Or what are we, Dex? We're a republic. We're a, what is it called?
Well, technically, it's a constitutional republic.
Constitutional republic. Because I said before that they weren't a democracy, and somebody said, well, we aren't either. Right, but they're not even close to one. They're basically in martial law right now, and they decide what you can say or can't say. But as far as nobody wants that stuff, and the support for this has just dried up completely. Nobody has their profile pic as Zelensky anymore. Nobody's wearing green shirts. Dang it. I wore my Zelensky shirt today. Nobody else is, though. And as far as it just people have just, this is back burner. And there's still this massive conflict. Well, every little good thing that they can say, they're going to say it. But I have covered it and I've followed up on it. And I always update these things every time. It doesn't work out like they say it's going to. So I have little faith. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. They say that they're going to do this and do that. They've said so many different plans and they all have failed. So we got to look at the overall kind of big picture. If they're going to lose, and by the way, we also covered the other day, the average age of their soldier is now 40 to 45, or I think it was 44 or 43 years old. That means all of the younger people have already perished. They're even talking about bringing a lot more women. They're trying to grab more women from Ukraine to get them fighting. That's not a good sign. And now they're saying they're going to do this plan. Now, in sound theory, this is a good plan. But Russia has so many different ways to already get around all of the sanctions that they're already set up for this. This isn't going to do much damage, at least in my opinion. But it says that their aim for winter months is to cut off Russian military supply chains and freeze them out of the country. Freeze Russians out of a country, right? Sounds like a plan. What happens if Russia does completely win this? We're all focused on IS and Hamas. Say Russia wins. What happens next? Do they take all of UKR? Do they go into the Baltic states? Is there a conflict that is going to arise? I don't think it would just be Russia versus NATO. I think if anything happened, it would be Russia, it would be North Korea, it would be Cuba, it would be Venezuela, it would be Iran, it would be China, and all of it would happen at the same time. That's what preppers are prepping for. That's what we are expecting. All of it to go off at the same time. We already have two major wars going on. If either North Korea and South Korea, North Korea does the surprise attack that they have now drilled for and said that they may do a Hamas-styled attack on South Korea. If that or China takes Taiwan happens, or both at the same time, we are going to have a hot world war. And it's looking like it's all going on a track, and it's going that way. So it's not looking good. So I don't know how their task will be, but I will update you guys. Like I've updated you on every other time they've come out with a big plan to do this, like the counteroffensive. The counteroffensive, now we know it didn't do well. And again, months and months and months ago, it was such a different... It's so crazy how the MSM have shaped people's perceptions. And then after that wears off, people get the truth and they're surprised by it. None of us are surprised by the fact that they're not winning. That Zelensky's own aide says, yeah, it's not a stalemate. We're not doing well. It's like everything we as a community have talked about ends up being the truth. But the truth doesn't always line up with what they are saying. And then resistance fighters blew up a Russian military headquarters and took the lives of 3 officers in occupied territory. Dex, go ahead.
Well, that's the claim. So you can see in the diagram there the location. I know that map doesn't really tell me much because I can't read it, but maybe you guys can. But look, they're saying they took out a building. It was in the occupied city of Militopol. This was Saturday, and in the process, they were able to perish a few of the National Guards, as well as other people. I'm assuming. But this was attack directly on one of their buildings, and it sounds like it was sort of a surprise, you know, event coming from the intelligence group of UKR. So you kind of have to take it with, well, you do have to take it with a grain of salt. Although I don't think it's been disputed that this has actually happened.
Yeah, so we will end up seeing, and we'll end up updating on what ends up happening there. And then Tesla owners can't resell Cybertruck without $50,000 penalty and banishment. So Dex, I didn't. Why would they do something like this, especially on something that, well, now we don't even see them driving on the road yet, but now they're going to say they can't resell it without a $50,000 penalty?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand. They're saying for at least the first year of ownership, you're not allowed to have, or you're not allowed to sell it without that huge penalty. On one hand, I don't know if this is just like sort of hype they're trying to create to make people think, oh, well, it's going to be so valuable that everybody's going to want to buy one. So they're going to prevent people from doing it. And when I say that, let's say they roll out the first month with only 100 vehicles, and it's going to take them another month to get another 100. The first couple months, everybody's going to want to put a premium price tag on that and say, well, I'll pay triple if you give it to me. And that's what they're maybe trying to prevent, is that reseller market. The other side is it could just be a bunch of hype, like, just trying to make it look like it's something that it's not. Or maybe there's something else going on here. They do claim that, they're trying to, there's going to be a lot of issues with the vehicle because this is the odd one. They're saying because it's new technology and new stuff coming out, the first year is going to be rather difficult. So that maybe they're trying to discourage people from selling the lemon if it looks like a lemon and they haven't put enough sugar in it to turn it into lemonade yet. Maybe that's it. We're not sure, but man, we've yet to see an automobile company do this, right?
How would this even work? What if they buy it cash? Or is that not how it works? Like, what if, and I doubt there's many people that can buy it cash. So if they're on they have a loan for it.
Well, it doesn't matter, cash or loan. You're signing a contract when you buy it from them. And that's what they're saying. They're putting it in a legal contract that you have to pay these damages if you sell it. And those damages are $50,000.
So how much does it cost? If you pre-ordered 5-10 years ago, whenever the freaking thing was talked about, how much was the truck?
I don't know what it's going for now, but what they said it was supposed to be like a 35 to 50,000 range price tag.
It can't be that cheap.
Yeah, it was supposed to be fairly cheap, but I think it may have gone up.
Okay, so there are going to be people, because this thing has bulletproof. Dude, this thing is cool as far as a. And by the way, there's probably errors that are going to be found right away. There's going to be tons of stuff, but as far as I don't know if they EMP protected it. I know that we've talked about like the Resvani, which is they call it the Resvani tank, but it's basically like a Humvee type vehicle, but it's EMP protected. It's all this stuff. This thing is supposed to be essentially bulletproof. They took like a weapon to the side of it. They've taken they took a bow and arrow and the arrow shattered. Like, this is a cool prepper car. Otherwise, I've thought they were ugly the entire time. But as far as functionality, and if this thing could actually be a truck and be electric, that's cool. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of faith in what electric vehicles are doing, at least not yet. But as far as the thing, say it's $60,000, say it's $70,000, people are going to be willing to pay $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 just to be one of the first 100 people to drive around in these things. Just like resale or scalpers of any item from collectibles to anything, they will flip a profit on it. I don't even think $50,000. I think people are still going to do it with $50,000 fee, because they'll sell it for $400,000 because some celebrity is going to they missed the pre-order date or something and want to be one of the first 100 to brag to their friends. It's so stupid with cars too. Vehicles, it's like that you're probably not going to be using for work. It's going to be some upper class guy driving, and you're going to see these at stoplights. And for the first like 8 months, I guarantee you, these guys are going to feel so proud, and people are going to come up to him at stoplights and go, "Cool truck," and the guy's going to feel like he's like king of the world. Like, yeah, it's a Cybertruck. Oh yeah. I can just see it happening. I could see red lights turning green, and they're still sitting there chatting because somebody wants to tell them their car is cool. I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to, because when Teslas came out and those new truck, the new electric truck, what company is that? Resvani? Is it Resvani? It's whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about, the electric trucks that are out now. Dex, go ahead.
Is that the Ford you're talking about? Electric trucks?
No, it's like its own company. It's like totally separate. It's supposed to be fancy. It's got these weird oval headlights. I can't remember the name of it, but Rivian. Thank you, Vigor. But the Rivian came out, and you see him, and I literally I've 2 times already. I've been stuck at a light, and it's because they're chatting, and the guy is like some middle-aged guy that's saying, "Yeah, I bought it here. Oh, got a great deal. Oh, it does so much," and they're telling him the specs of it at the freaking stoplight. I'm like, just go. Dex, go ahead.
So here's the other angle on this. So Musk did say in one of the, I think one of the stock meetings or something else, that they're going to have enormous challenges reaching volume production. So in other words, they're going to have a hard time getting these out. They're going to be scarce when they do start to roll out. So I think that's part of it. But I don't know that he's not wanting the price to go up. I think what he's trying to do is, and by the way, the price I looked up online now is between 60 and 70, but I think some people were saying there was supposed to be a $50,000 model. But I think what he's trying to do is cash in on those early sales. So if people are willing to pay an extra 50 grand, then he wants to get paid for it, not let the actual buyer get paid for it.
Well, either way, we'll see. I think it's partly hype too, and people are going to be like, "Oh, I got to get in." They're going to think, "Oh, there's going to be money in the resale of it," and there probably will be, but it's probably going to be way overhyped. David Reed, hey, what's going on? David says, "I would love to see that thing tow a trailer." I bet it will be really crazy because they've already made the semi trucks and stuff. I bet you it will be able to do everything it says, and I bet you that's why it's taking so long. I don't know. Tesla's got to. They do come up with some crazy stuff. So, I highly doubt it's going to completely fail, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. The original Tesla, my cousin was one of the first people with a regular Tesla S. It was $100,000 something back in, and he pre-ordered it years in advance. And he puts bumper stickers. I told you guys, he's the only person I know that puts bumper stickers on a Tesla, especially when it was super rare and there was like 200 out. But he had problems and he wanted to fix it himself, and he got this big legal battle with Tesla because he wanted to be able to fix it himself. You're supposed to do everything through Tesla, so you're in this kind of bind with Tesla, and he just wanted his window stopped rolling down. He's a technical guy. He can put together a computer system that runs computer systems, and the guy, it like voided his warranty or something, and he got in a big news battle with them and stuff. But yeah, it's like I could see the same thing happening with the Cybertruck. And then before we move on, if you don't have any long-term survival food, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/prep. You got long-term survival food that will last 25 years. Again, this is the more affordable route. We also have another company that you can go for extremely high quality, made in small batches. This I recommend because this you can get a whole bulk, a lot for a very affordable price. And this will most definitely not only get you by, but you will have a ton of wiggle room there as well. They are very generous with their 3-month. Again, the 3-month plan is a really great one because you always have at least a $200 or equivalent discount on that with our code. But as far as they have 1 month supply, they have 2 week supplies, they have a week supply, a 72-hour kit for a go bag. It's a very good thing. You just add water. This is going to last 25 years. And I guarantee you in 10 years from now, when you still have 15 years left on the shelf, this is going to be, skyrocketed in price. It's tripled in price, freeze-dried food in general, in the last 3 years. So you can only imagine in 10 years where this will be. So that's why folks look at it as somewhat of an investment. I wouldn't say it's something you can resell, but it is something that will be an investment for yourself because you won't have to pay those prices later. And you can eat it. And if we do go into hyperinflation, instead of going to the store and paying $2,000 for eggs, you could just go into your pantry and grab some of this. Marfooglenews.com/prep. And then we have Secret Service agents protecting Naomi Biden fired shots at attempted vehicle break-in. So it's something definitely odd going on. Dex, what were they doing and why did they end up firing shots?
So the story goes, they were in the Georgetown neighborhood Sunday night, and they were obviously protecting the granddaughter. She was out and about, and somebody was trying to break into one of the Secret Service vehicles. Well, they opened fire on the person, but they didn't strike anybody. Nobody got hurt, and the suspects fled. Then they put out an alert as to who they were looking for and sent that to the DC Police Department. That's about as much information as we have. But I just find it odd that A, this happened, and B, their first instinct is to fire shots. And then the second thing is that this is the cream of the crop, so to speak, and they weren't able to stop, or maybe they intentionally weren't shooting at that individual that was stealing the car. But it seems kind of odd. It's a weird story.
Yeah, and they saw 3 people breaking the window of a parked Secret Service agent. 3. I guess usually car thieves are kind of solo and real low key, but 3 people breaking into one car. I wonder if they were teenagers. I would think Secret Service would think like 3 people breaking into a car. I would think teenagers or some 16-year-olds. So pretty risky move. Firing weapons, but 2 of the 3 possible suspects fled to a scene in a red vehicle. But no more information than that. Kind of odd. All right, now we have some callers here. Before that, I want to point out, so I said this over on the news, but again, if you did watch the news short, understand that a lot of folks from Marfoogle News don't watch this channel. There's a lot of folks that watch that don't watch this. So I wanted to just kind of break down an overview of kind of what is going on and what I have said for years. And it is really scary that this looks like it's happening. So you guys know there's been a lot of odd events with California, with Gavin Newsom doing a surprise visit to Xi Jinping, which I said super, super odd, especially since he's Gavin Newsom. And there's been higher politicians and higher celebrities that have gone to China and never have met with Xi Jinping. He goes, which everybody has a theory whether he's going to be the next JB or if he's going to be the VP or something like this. Whatever the side theories are, put that aside. Gavin Newsom is again a big piece of in running California. He's also looking like he's trying to be president at some point. You can tell by how they represent him, how their PR teams do. But he goes and visits Xi Jinping. California is also important because it is a huge chunk of our West Coast. If we were to ever have, hypothetically, the crazy and improbable invasion of the U.S., the coastlines would be a big part of that, especially California. California also is home to many Chinese ports or Chinese-run ports. Not to mention, 60% of our cranes are run by Chinese proprietary software, and they believe now that they most likely have backdoors into a lot of them. So they could potentially turn down shipping and if, by the way, the thing that they're planning on doing with Russia, like freezing them out, if they wanted to stop our supply chain, heck, cranes would be a good way to do it. But again, overall picture of this, which people just cannot see an invasion of the U.S. happening because 1, we own a lot of guns, and 2, we're geographically safe, right? We're so far away from these places. Well, both of those things, if they are negated, then you all of a sudden take our huge advantage away. So, bang, we have a bunch of weapons, right? Well, what if every gun owner in a state just happens to get their information leaked? How many weapons they have, where they're stored, and where the address of registration is? Well, then, technically, if you had, I don't know, AI driven drone swarms and they took out each target that owns weapons, then you would all of a sudden take that out of the picture. This is all under a hypothetical crazy scenario that's really loopy, and your family and friends will go, yeah, okay. And then you do, say, port busting bombs on all the ports that are not Chinese run, all of the places where, say, Navy could come in and dock, anything else, but leave the ones you run up. That would be done with, I don't know, say a port busting torpedo, which they've been testing in an area that looks exactly like California's coastline. And at the same time, you have things that are activated inside the country. Say, well, they're geographically super far away. Well, you could ship things in via container and have it hidden. You could even ship people in, I don't know, via commercial airliners, which looks like it's happening. MTG, Marjorie Green, actually has made a claim that over 200,000 people have come in, and other folks are claiming that those might be soldiers of some sort. Now, we do know and confirm that at least there's a lot of word of 18 to 25-year-old men coming in through the southern border. We have had more people come in, and the whole border thing is weird. They're fighting like, oh, yeah, we should leave it open. They're purposely trying to leave it open, like turning a blind eye to hundreds of thousands, now millions of people coming in through our southern border. Most, I'm sure, are refugees just looking for a better life. But a huge chunk of these, which there's a huge chunk that are 18 to 25-year-old men, have been coming in. Not only that, there's documentation in, I believe, the Texas border of Chinese men actually coming in. And once they got across the border, they went to a motel and apparently did some sort of ritual that the PLA does, which was they took a live chicken, they went and they drank some of the stuff. If that is true, again, that they say that was documented, that says to me that there's military coming in through the South. Now, everybody already knows that Canada has a whole thing going on there. Trudeau has actually said lots of nice things about Xi, and they even signed a very weird deal that allows China to basically run, to even fly their own people into Canada if they have an asset there. It's an agreement that they had that they wouldn't even have to tell the local sheriff. They could fly 100 Chinese soldiers in and not tell anybody if they were protecting one of their own assets under this weird agreement that they have. So you got up there, which nobody's watching, down south, which everybody is watching, but millions and millions of people are coming in. Then you have commercial flight lines. This is straight out of the plot out of Red Dawn. Literally, when the colonel sits down at the campfire, this is what he says. Back in the 70s when this movie came out, or early 80s, whatever it was, says this whole plan. And even says, oh, yeah, just like Iraq, they'll come in commercial planes. Oh, yeah, most of it came in through the border. In that movie, they mentioned Venezuela and Cuba. Well, guess what, Cuba? Cuba has a new Chinese base, possibly training soldiers there. Cuba has a new Russian facility there, possibly training soldiers. Venezuela, which we know Iran has been directly working with, and they were trying to get boats across. This was during all of this other stuff going on. Iran was actually bringing stuff, which they even said that they thought was possibly weapons or something else for Venezuela. One of those boats ended up sinking, but they said we weren't involved and we weren't behind it, right? Something bigger is going on with Iran, with Venezuela, with Cuba. This is straight out of Red Dawn. And with Iran and us, you know that there's a connection between all of that. Dex, go ahead. I know you have some. I know what you're going to add too. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I got the document or the organization, the Center for Immigration Studies, that MGT I believe was referencing. So if you want to grab that link, you can actually see the details of the 200,000 from 4 different countries on direct flights over the past year. It's in Screener.
Thank you, Dex. And again, we back everything up with sources. So what we're saying here. You can call it hypothetical. You can call it speculation. Again, I won't call it fact because you can't call anything that anymore. But we always do back it up with information that you can access and you have access to right there. because half of this they'll go, oh, you're the R word, or you're a B word, or you're this. I'm not. But I will say this: I'm not blind either. That's the other B word.
And it's already on the website.
New records. JBDHS has approved hundreds of thousands of pirates for secretive foreign flights directly into U.S. airports. This is directly from the CIS.org. So, again, I don't know. It is such a crazy thing, right? At the same time, Mike Minahan, who is in charge of all of the military cargo going all around the world, they all of a sudden just started taking off the identifying numbers off of it. He says we're going to be in a war with China by 2027. China says war by 2027, but then again, they've also said that it may happen earlier, like 2024 or 2025 when Taiwan pops off. Who knows? I could see we easily watch this Israel stuff go on for about a year or maybe a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, just like as fast as UK are, and this faded out, they fade out, set the stage for the new thing. We have cyber events that are being threatened on a daily basis now. We have had a bank issue just in the last week where all of the deposits were delayed. Again, they say, oh, the Fed made a mistake. And at first, they even said it was a human error, which I believe they changed now. But I'm like, a human error affected Bank of America, US Bank, all these banks. And they said, all of these things are just, why are there so many dots to connect here? Unless that's the purpose. Maybe they're leading us off onto some stupid thing. Well, something else happens. But I will say this. If you have eyes to see and you're looking at this stuff, what a better way to hide it than to make it literally the plot of a Hollywood movie? Because people are going to go, oh, okay, sure, yeah. Oh, I like the movie Red Dawn. Nobody's going to take it seriously. But man, oh man, everything is going on that would happen. Oh, and then the secret police stations in all 30 NATO countries, or more than that, with spies. I mean, what did they do in Japan before Pearl Harbor? They had a Chinese spy or a Japanese spy that literally swam around and studied the schedule of all of the ships. I mean, like these things, there's so many different things here that all don't sit right. So people can call it what they want to call it. People really do not want to hear war. They don't want to hear World War. People think of World War III as the end of the world. I think it's the beginning. I think it's the start of the new planned one that is going to be completely different. It's going to be on a different system that everything is tracked, everything is traced. Not a single dollar will be spent without them knowing. Which, in theory, you're like, well, yeah, it should be like that. Blah, blah. Because, oh, what are you, a criminal? No, but there's a reason why we have these fundamental rights, these fundamental freedoms, because there's always going to be somebody who takes advantage of those freedoms. If you give them an inch, they will take a mile. And this is what's happening right now. Not to mention we have all sorts of natural events, and you could say that this is looking at it from a pessimistic view. I would say it's a realist view, and it's looking right through the MSM and what they're doing. So this is getting really crazy. Let's cue. This is cool. So Foogle fam, thank you, by the way. Thank you, everybody. I just want to say thank you again, Renee Alera. Sharon Davis, thank you as well for the support tonight. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate that. Wages World, I don't think I got to you the other night. You said, sorry, late fee. You never have to do that. Did a super chat for being late. Dude, you have been so helpful in this Foogle fam. Also, Trinity, wherever you are, I'm praying for you. Love you. And if I don't know, I didn't see you here. I don't know if you are here, but thank you for making it to tons of shows lately. Rip Curl, thank you, all of our mods that are here tonight. So we're going to play some Foogle fam stuff. So this is directly from the Foogle fam. We asked you guys, we gave you the phone number down below to leave a message. And we got some interesting messages. So just to let you know, we're going to bring those in right now. Dex, do you want to do the intro to Brian from the 203? Are you there, Dex?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm trying to remember which name is which. But Brian was calling. I think he was the one calling about the ASML container. So before maybe you play this, look at the other image, and you can show everybody. And I'll remind you of this caller who called a while back talking about the chip deal that was done up somewhere in New England. I can't remember exactly. I think he mentions it in his call, but about this hardware that's being shipped potentially to the military, and what are they doing with it? And it's a high end processing power. So he caught again one of these trucks that looks like it was on its way, and it's from the company that won the big bid for the military. So
Okay,
that's the
so
image.
let's play. We'll let you listen to this right now. It's only 56 seconds long. So listen carefully and you can rewind it if you're watching the replay.
Hey, Adam and Texas, Brian 203 out of the Northeast, and just wanted to let you know that I've seen more ASML container, microchip processors, stuff like that being moved on the road since I live kind of close to the area. I also sent a couple pictures to this number transporting one of three that I saw on that day. They're obviously looking to do something. Something big is coming. We just got to we just got to figure it out because I don't know where they're moving these things to, and things can't be looking good. So, thanks for your time. I listen to your shows all the time. Thank you very much. Now have a good weekend now. Happy Veterans Day.
Well, thank you, Brian. And just so you know, we went over the kind of diagrams that make up these things. They inside. It's not just like open the doors and put stuff inside. These are advanced. These are mobile. They can do all sorts of different stuff with these. But Dex, do you remember what they could manufacture stuff? They could do stuff. This is a mobile unit that has. I mean, it's so complicated. I can't even wrap my head around it because we showed some of these trucks could actually manufacture things inside of them. It was some of them had, I want to say, direct energy type stuff or microwave technology. Like it was so incredibly confusing at first. So it sounds like it's something that if these are rolling around and if there's a lot more, that something very well could be going on. Dex, do I have you?
Yeah, you got me. I'm just looking up ASML again, trying to get more information on them. They it's high powered processing chips that they're manufacturing and delivering. And I can't not remember the contract they had won, but it was a big one with the defense ministry. And matter of fact, I even know at one point somebody was trying to advise them against it, but they still went with it or something along those lines. But yes, I think a lot of this is probably going down that path. If I had to guess, this is going to be AI related. This is going to be heavy compute related, and maybe even stuff that's going into newer weapon technology.
Angelo says, "Foog, what's going on?" Hey, haven't heard that in a while. Well, and Smokehouse said it's essentially a fabricator, right? So pretty crazy stuff. And then elbow jeans, not the end of the world. But wait, so listen to this one.
Hey, Marfoogle, what's up? This is Elbow Jeans. I am calling in because I have been wondering, are these events that we are seeing, is this the end of the world, or are we just repeating kind of what happened the last century? The last century, there was a pandemic, World War One, and World War Two, a Great Depression, and it seems like we're repeating it. And I do want to point out that the worst part of what happened the last century is, the concentration at the end of World War II. And hopefully that's not something that will be repeated. We don't need that. But the reason why I'm putting this out there is some people think there's going to be the rapture next year. I even put a video, my latest video is about that. But there's something else. And I haven't really shared this with just close friends and family. But what if this is not the end? And this is the reason why. The part of the religious part of it is with Christianity, there's this idea that even with Judaism too, is after 6,000 years is when Jesus would come back. Okay, well that's neat. And so people were thinking, okay, we're waiting 2,000 years after Jesus' crucifixion. So that's why we're expecting him now. But the Hebrew calendar is 5784, That's how it coincides. With 2024, it'll be 5784. That means there's another 216 years, Marv. That means possibly, maybe we're going to see, all this crazy futuristic stuff. Maybe we're not going to see the mark of the beast for another 200 years. So that's just a possibility. So I try to put that in balance. As for this whole ball of wax and wondering, is this the end? Because honestly, dude, 100 years ago, people thought the same thing. In London, when they're getting, bombed to smithereens by the Germans, I'm sure they thought this is the end, even in Old Testament times. So I think people thought, surely, God's coming back. Anyway, that's my thought on the matter. So it's kind of both sides of it. So keep your head on a swivel. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you too, Elbow Jeans. And by the way, I agree. I don't think the end of the world is, I don't think it's going to be in our lifetime. But I think World War III is happening. And I don't think World War III coincides with the end of the world. World War III is how they bring in an entire other system. They reset button. So that's what I think. And I think that we can't wrap our heads around the loss that comes with the world conflict. We can't wrap our head that anybody would decidingly do that, especially if they didn't have to, right? But you have to understand. Well, I guess just think about any person that is just money over everything. That money is the most important thing in their life. That they would drop anybody if money came their way. Or that they would narc on somebody if money came their way. Or they would choose money over somebody's life. They would say, save this person in your personal family or take $1 million. I guarantee you, all of you know somebody that would take the $1 million and let somebody fall down what do you call it? Not Hunger Games, the other show on Netflix with the weird triangle square thing, whatever that show is called. You could totally see that in somebody Now imagine that quadrupled, and it's not just about money. It's about power. It's about running. It's about status. These people are on such a level that money's not an issue. Money is an afterthought. Any one of us could live on the interest of what they make in a year. And we could live comfortably and be wealthy and rich ourselves off the interest that they gain just by putting off a little bit of their money side. I always thought it was crazy. Like especially when I was younger, I'm like, gosh, if I could just get some rich billionaire to put a few million in a bank account under my name, not give me the money, just let me have the interest. I always thought why aren't the rich doing that for people? They could literally just say, hey, this isn't your money, but you can live off the interest it makes. Why? Because people are greedy. And you're not just going to get a free handout, of course. But I always thought about that. Even if you just had some money in your bank account and let it sit there, even at a 1% interest, you're talking about these people have millions and millions and millions of dollars. And a lot of the people that are running the world, they're in the trillions. And I guarantee you, they don't have any public people that are trillionaires because they're beyond having their name on a list. Okay, they don't go into Forbes. They own Forbes. They can edit Forbes directly from their cell phone. I guarantee it. If they do see their name, they can call Google and say, hey, take that out. And they do. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. If there's a story on them in the New York Times, it doesn't run. These are the people that we are talking about. They say Elon is the richest person in the world. That is complete BS. There are oil tycoons that I'm sure are richer, but even if there wasn't, there are families that have been running the show since before the civil conflict. Those families have much more money, and you think they don't. That is part of the illusion. So again, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's the beginning of a new one. And a lot of people consider this conspiracy this, conspiracy that. But at this point, you got to stop caring about what people think about you. In a world where everybody's saying, everybody be yourself, and your view of everything matters. But yet, if you have the wrong view, you're canceled or you don't matter. And they want everybody to be able to express themselves. But if you are a certain sect, or if you're Christian, or if this or that, then no, they don't want to hear you. It's wild. And I agree with him. They thought it was the end of the world back then. One thing that I think is different with the Bible prophecy, though, is that they always thought it was the end. And they were basically taking what it says and saying, hey, we see this, and this. There are so many things that are lining up. And yes, you could say, like I think Jordan Peterson even said something about how Nostradamus was like guessing, like maybe it was, I forget who it was. Maybe it was Joe Rogan or somebody. But they said that essentially that Nostradamus wrote something so vague that, yeah, it could mean anything could happen, right? And that's what people say that the Bible did. They just wrote it into a generic thing so you could find a million things in that. But I don't personally think so. I think there are so many things that are happening at the same time that are closely related to each one of these events that the biblical prophecy is being fulfilled. Some people even believe that the people at the very, 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 very top, they want it to fulfill, or they are trying to fulfill it. That's why it's going along the line. That they're literally going, okay, we need to do this because it lines up with this prophecy. Like they're actually doing it like it's a script because they want it to be fulfilled. And we are the victims of this thing. Whatever you may think, either way, it's like things are not going to a better place. At least our personal freedoms aren't, and our lives and the way we live is changing so rapidly. I am very thankful, and I do try to think about the things I'm thankful for. I'm very thankful I grew up before cell phones. I'm very thankful that I grew up before internet. I'm very thankful that I have those memories and that I lived before the world crumbled. And I think cell phones alone crumbled all of us, including myself. Cell phones have ruined our society. People are looking down instead of looking at each other. That's just not good. And I'm sure in the future, there's probably going to be groups of people that are so far against cell phones and technology because of how much damage it's done to their family and to the people they know, that there will probably be some sort of group literally labeled something because they are anti-technology. At this point, I think there probably will be. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I feel like there's definitely so many things lining up. It's absolutely insane. Thank you, and thank you, Renee Alara, Sharon Davis. Thank you. And Hold My Beer. Thank you. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Dex, what did you think about elbow jeans?
Well, it's certainly interesting. There's always these calculations that people have to come up with, and when you look at the different time scales and different calendars, it can change. I mean, look at the Mayan calendar when they thought the end was nigh, but it really wasn't, because then somebody else found a different way to calculate it, and there was actually more years or less years. So, yes, very interesting, and I guess more reassurance that it's not necessarily the end of times right this moment.
And Dora Darling says, I don't use a cell phone, I use a landline. How many of you, let's just do a quick, and you don't have to feel bad if you don't or you do. Let's do a quick survey. How many of you still have a landline? And I understand we don't have 18 to 30, like we have 30 and up here, 99.9%. We have less than 1%, 18 through 24. How many of you have a landline? Press 1 for yes or 2 for no. 1 for yes being I have a landline, 2 for I don't have a landline. I'm not going to be surprised. I think that there will be a good amount of landlines here because we're older and we actually like, but look at how many. Katie cleans a lot. Here's the thing I would recommend to all of you. I don't know if landlines will be any better. Like if they do a full scale EMP or knock everything down, I don't know. I don't know if landlines are protected like they used to be. Like I feel like they might have worked back in the day, but they've upgraded everything so it involves the internet. Like they've integrated the internet and the Internet of Things and cloud computing systems into everything, even old school systems that still aren't upgraded. They've updated the control systems for those things. So a lot of let's see here. SW Bell stopped serving in 2000, Southwest Bell. My grandpa worked for Bell, and AT&T, I feel like after or whatever it turned into. But he worked in it. He did phone lines and stuff. Too, got rid of it this year. Wow. That's, you actually still had it. And by the way, you can't count if it comes through your internet. If it's a Comcast thing like that comes through your internet box, I don't think that counts. Dex, go ahead.
I think most, not all, but most of this, what are called central offices, or even the extensions that come off from those COs that connect your landline, they're all digital and they're all going over the internet. So even though you have a physical landline, you may think it's that way, but it really, the backhaul of it is all digital now. So
See my
it's
point?
it's all like being on the internet. So it doesn't really matter.
See my
You just
point?
don't get the benefit.
Back when VoIP or voice over internet protocol, back when that started, it was, you had to actually get that. That was like a big thing if you could get that, and it was landline. So now, is there no such thing as an actual landline?
In your house to the street, yes. That's physical copper. It acts like a POTS, POTS, plain old telephone system. But when it hits that junction, whether it's in the street or whether it's the next hop before it hits the CO, somewhere along the lines, it's getting converted to digital. And it's not that far away from your house that it gets converted to digital.
I think my grandpa worked for Bell Labs and then AT&T. Maybe the Liz W. That's crazy. Somebody said the phone book used to be this thick. I mean, just the phone book. Kids don't know what a phone book is. Heck, they don't know what dial-up is or any of that. Let's see here. As far as landline only good as carrier. Yeah, so basically our communications will go down. Why do you think the DHS and as far as what do you call it? As long as we're talking about that, what do you call it? Dang it, I just lost. Oh, the phone book. What do you? Gosh, dang it, I just had it and lost it. Do you guys ever have that where you're thinking, the older you get, it's like you'll be talking to somebody and then boom, it poof, it's gone. Nope, just completely gone. I'm accessing all parts of my brain and it is now gone. Nope, it's really not there. Hold on 1 second. Nope, it's definitely gone. Boop, beep, 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 beep. Nope, can't even dial up the information. Nope, it is completely gone. Well, anyways, you guys know it's old school now. Everything, even the systems that run them, are now shut down. It's really sad. There's no more payphones. That's probably a side effect of that too. Really sad. Prank phone calls using the white page. Ryan, yeah, I used to do that. 1312. Is your refrigerator running? That's pretty awesome. All right. Well, I don't know what that was, but you know. Okay, I'm done. That was probably super loud. All right. Aaron Demore, we can go down memory lane, and we'll probably do that this week. Thank you, everybody. Make sure to drop an M in the chat for your mods. Let's talk about the web only. Before we do so, I do want to remind you, if you do want to protect yourself and your devices against an EMP or a CME or a Carrington level event from the sun. Sorry about that. If you want to protect yourself against an EMP or a CME or a Carrington level event from the sun, go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is very easy to add to your vehicle and allow it to run after all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3, or even a Carrington level event from the sun. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground or a piece of your frame, and then it's set up. In less than 10 minutes, your car is going to run when no one else's does, especially since now vehicles have basically made everything digital, including even the gas. When you press down on the gas, there's no physical wire pulling in and putting gas in your tank or in your injector. It is all digital. So you probably already know, because if something digital or a computer chip or a microchip goes out, then your whole car stops working well. It's really stupid. But again, if you want to protect that, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF and you'll get $50 off per device. If you're outfitting multiple cards, that will definitely help. And it helps us out. Again, we are on our own here. So thank you guys for doing so. It helps us. Again, we are truly independent. marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, Dex, let's go over the web only. Lots of really good information down there.
Absolutely. Head over to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or hit that show notes link down below in the description. This is a great opportunity. If you can refresh, Adam, I just want to point out as you scroll down everything that we've talked about and you get this yellow bar that says overflow. Right above it is the migration details about the direct flights. So like we said, we update things in real time. We covered that in the show. It's right there. If you're looking for the details, you want to dive into it and see everything they pull together, it's there. As we keep going down the list, lots of updates. We've got things going on with updates on Xi and his appearances that he's made here in the past and the public statements that he made that he didn't live up to, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I believe with what he's going to do with this whole AI statement. We've got updates on what's going on in the UKR event. Of course, we've got additional updates on what's going on with the Middle East. The entire political spectrum, there's a lot happening there. So if you're into the whole political side of things and you want to know what's going on, check it out. It's all on our website. We put it together for you every night. That and so much more. And if you're living in LA, apparently the freeway is shut down. There's a huge issue on the 10 freeway. It's going to be days, they're saying. So it's a big fire event that's on the freeway there. So that and so much more, including stuff happening here in Atlanta. Go check it out. marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show. Open up the show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you right here, this page. We put it together for you every night. Hope you like it.
All right. Well, thank you, Dex, and thank you to our wonderful mods. Aaliyah, thank you, and everyone that has made it to tonight's broadcast. I appreciate you. And make sure to go check out that video over on news. Thank you for being patient with the transition from the two shows. Thank you for making it to the second news show because that first one, something happened. Again, thank you, everybody. Love you. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Thank you as well to Renee Alera. I believe you're top supporter tonight. So we've got a song to make. A song of satisfaction to the world. Or dissatisfaction to a small group of people. April Sky, thank you for the super sticker. Everybody did goofy super stickers tonight. Thank you. April Sky, thank you. And I appreciate it. Cannot say thank you enough. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. And Dex, thank you so much for all of your service tonight. Thank you for updating everything as well.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It's going nuclear. It's so clear. It's going nuclear. It's so clear. It's going nuclear. April sky. Everybody gonna go as wild. Damn day is running a Alera. Everybody now we see that I love. Hey, I thank you, Mars. I thank you, Mars. I say I love. I'm gonna bring it on down. And I brought it up just so I could bring it down. Hey, April sky. Hey, I hold my beer. Hey, I'm running. Hallelujah. Hello with the Tara Williams and the blessed Mama GS and the Dex James. Hey, with the Julie C, a Shastina and the big old names. With the Jonathan Floman, awesome a gift dash. I say a shaper girl and the rest of the game. Hey, with the G, I'm back with the back on, say on the back on back with the Black Cat Whirly gig and Kingdom. churn, a good return. Hey, Kiki Gray, thank you way for the diamond. I said to everybody, now we be joining. I said back with an Annabelle, poop deck, Pappy, a Carrie, a Schaefer, a Susie Cat. With some human on one raw and the bar. Closer, overrated, dark, Papa Diabolist. A shaver girl and everybody on top of that. I lady, yeah, Neil Nelson and this and now. A Beaver Rings, Brian Patch and the Big O Kings. A Mo-TBR and a more of the Beast Resistance. A Mo-TBR, a mark of the Beast Resistance. Frank Neil, eat vegan diet, and everybody know that I like it as if Michael Johnson, Mo-TBR. I like a D, a double I. Or see I'm back around at night, y'all. It's so clear.